Welcome to the Retired Athlete Mentality Podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of former collegiate athletes who have transitioned from the competitive world of college sports to the grueling but rewarding world of endurance racing. Each episode, we bring on athletes who have gone from courts, fields, and tracks to marathons, triathlons, and even ultras. School's back in session. Welcome to the show. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Retired Athlete Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Jamal from Running State University. And on this episode, we have our very first couple, Kenzie and Zack Venus. They both played soccer at Messiah University in Pennsylvania. Both were wingers, both had successful soccer careers, and now they compete on a high level in solo and double Hyrox. They both qualified for the World Championships in mixed doubles with a time of 58:15. They continue to explore their endurance journey with half marathons and triathlons. Zack, Kenzie, let's talk about your retired athlete mentality. How have you been?
Been great. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, awesome. Again, like I mentioned, this is the first time I've had a couple on the show. You two are super fit from what I can tell from social media. And so I'm excited to talk about both of your journeys from young child athlete to college athlete to, back out in the real world doing, real world stuff, but continuing your fitness. So we'll start off with, so you guys met in college, correct?
We actually met in high school, but we didn't start dating till college. So that's really when our story starts, is college.
Awesome. No, that's awesome. I wanted to clarify that just so people knew. So you guys have known each other since high school. And so how did soccer start for both of you? We'll start with you, Kenzie.
So soccer started for me when I was around 5 years old. My dad actually coached college soccer for a little bit, so I kind of grew up with that being a super big part of my life. I started in club soccer when I was around 12 years old, and from then on, just knew I wanted to play in college at some level, whatever was the best fit in college for me. So I learned so much throughout that journey of what that looked like, and then decided to go play in college. That's kind of where my athletic journey started. Soccer and team sports is where I really fell in love with pushing myself and working hard, having collaboration on the field and what that looked like. So that's the beginning.
Yeah, it's similar story to what Kenzie was sharing, but started out playing soccer about 4 or 5 years old. I was really the first person in my family outside of kind of different from the way Kenzie was sharing. Her dad played and coached, but was really the first person in my family to play soccer. I think it kind of started with just playing with friends and things like that. But then slowly, obviously, went through travel soccer, started playing club soccer, got more competitive, and played in high school. And I think around high school time is when I started to really realize that, okay, if I could take this seriously, like this can go somewhere, and I could continue to play soccer in college at a collegiate level and compete at a school and a program that was more of a high level. So it's been a really big part of my life. It's taught me a lot of different disciplines, a lot of different life lessons, for on the field, obviously, and off the field. A lot of good values that I have kind of tracked back to soccer and what it's done for my life specifically.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I love to see that, that journey from, 3, 4, 5 years old to college. And so so Kenzie, you were essentially from a soccer family. Zack, you were kind of the first person to, start picking up soccer. At what point did you guys meet in high school?
So we met in high school. We were freshmen when we first met, and we both had a dream of playing college soccer. So we kind of were friends because of that, by sort of friends. So I would say, so then as we grew in high school, we would even like just watch each other play, because we would watch the boys soccer team, they would watch the girls soccer team, and give each other a few things to work on each time. We kind of were training buddies even when we were just friends in high school. So it's fun to see how that's progressed from then to what we get to do now.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about, that same scenario in the college aspect. Because, when it gets to college, there's a lot to talk about and a lot to see. So I'm excited. I'll put a pause on that, but I'm excited to hear what you guys did together in college when it came to helping each other get better at soccer. But before we get there, can you talk about the recruiting process for both of you? So Messiah is a D3 school. What was that recruiting like for both of you?
So for me, you kind of grow up in club thinking D1 or bust. That's
Hmm.
kind of the only option in your mind.
Yeah.
And so when I was figuring out what I wanted in a school, I really wanted a Christian school. That was something that mattered a lot to me. And I wanted a place where I could play competitively and that competed at the level that they competed at. So Messiah on the women's and men's side have won quite a few national championships at the D3 level. So that doesn't look as pretty or glamorous on the outside to maybe
Hmm.
somebody who only wants to go D1, but it was the right fit for me. And I'm so thankful that I didn't choose to go with maybe what other people thought was best. But I could have maybe gone to a D1 school and not played at all, but just been on the team or played a little. And that's not the experience I wanted. So in that process, my parents also had gone to Messiah. So that was helpful to kind of have that initial connection, but it ended up being the best fit for me overall.
What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I would say obviously, the recruiting part kind of took more so through high school. I think within the club aspect of it, like we'd go to showcases and different stuff like that, and you try to get seen by different college coaches. And that was always, it was kind of the D1 or bust mentality, I feel like, was the circle within the club world. I had a lot of more connections through either guys that were coaches on the coaching staff at high school, on my high school team that I played for, or just connections that used to play for the high school that we played at that went to Messiah and played there. So there was
Mm.
kind of a good connection and network established for either that school or some other schools. So there was a couple that were kind of floating around in my mind. I knew I wanted to play, and I knew that maybe Division 1 wasn't the best for me. I think I wasn't good enough to maybe be at a higher level, and I could have played at a lower level Division 1 school, or tried to play at a higher level and maybe ride the bench and not really play a whole lot. Obviously, you can work your way up. But I wanted more of an experience where it was, a really good team culture. A Christian school was really important for me, specifically like a Christian culture and a brotherhood on a soccer team. But also making sure academics were really important too. And I feel like Division 3, um, that's kind of, you can get the best of both worlds in that. But yeah, I think just from the network that you make, specifically the network that I was blessed to have, people that were able to introduce me to different coaches and things like that, that really opens certain doors to make opportunities really real, which ended up leading me to Messiah and playing there for 4 years, which have been very impactful for my life, soccer wise, and my life just overall wise.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And we talk about this a lot on this podcast, which is, you're 18 years old and you have to make 17, 18 years old, and you have to make a pretty big decision, whether
Yeah,
it's, D1, uh, ride the bench, D3, play a significant amount of time, or somewhere in between where you're D1, but you're fighting for a position. And it's a hard decision to make when you're making, we're talking about transitions, but that transition from high school to college. And then you have to throw in, is it right for me academically? Is it right for me with my religion?
yeah,
So many things that you have to do. And thankfully, it sounded like you guys had a lot of people in your corner to help you really make that really good decision and end up going to the same place. And so when you got to Messiah, what was the experience like when you first got onto campus?
So for me, when I first got there, it really felt like a place where it was servant leadership focused. Like the oldest girls served the youngest girls, which is really backwards. When you think of a team environment, usually like the freshmen grab the balls and the freshmen get the waters for everybody. But this was an environment where like the seniors did that. The seniors checked in on you. It was very different than other cultures or things that I'd been a part of in that way, which was super significant. And it was an environment where people really cared about you and who you are and how you are playing, obviously. Like everybody worked hard, and when it was time to work, everyone was on the same page with that. But then outside of it, they cared how you were doing. It wasn't just show up, play. It was more than just being a teammate. It was true friendship. And so that's what felt really, really special about that place.
yeah. I would echo pretty much everything that Kenzie said about that. I would say there's so many different levels to obviously Division 1 schools, Division 2, Division 3. Both the men's and women's team are very successful, having a lot of different national titles, which was something that was really cool. So getting to be on that team, like, whoever's on that team is a solid player. So it's not like you don't have to earn your way anymore. Like you're on that team for a reason. You're a solid player. You know what it takes. You know how to work hard. different things like that. And so I think there was also a level of, aside from that, the guys that were juniors and seniors, even sophomore, when you step on campus as a freshman, they see you as more than just a soccer player, and there's more value attached to you than just being a soccer player and just an athlete. And that's something that kind of transcends boundaries of just playing on the field and making mistakes. You know, these guys care about you, obviously on the field, more so even off the field. And it's kind of a culture and a brotherhood on the guy side. I know the girl side is very similar, but that kind of lifts you up to make yourself want to be better, and to be better for the guys that are around you. So it kind of just first stepping on campus and like participating in preseason and practices and games. Like you start to get hooked really fast in a culture like that, and just really want to be a part of it every day. It's not something that I think it's the unique experience. I think there's other places that have it too, but I think that's really important, especially when you're looking for a place to play collegiate sports. Like making sure there is a family type of and a brotherhood type of around that experience.
Yeah, that's super awesome. It sounds like one of the better college experiences that I've seen or heard of when you first get there as a freshman. And so you both got there the same year. Did you know of any other people, or did you just know of each other when you first got to Messiah?
We had some friends that I had known that were older or had graduated. I knew a decent amount of alumni, but current players, I didn't really know anyone walking in.
Yeah, I'd say for me that was new uncharted territory. Like I'm familiar with knowing people wherever I am my entire life. So going off to college and not knowing a single person, obviously knowing Kenzie was a real big benefit, but like not knowing anybody on the guys team, not knowing anybody that I pretty much interacted with every day, was it took me out of my comfort zone a lot, forced me to be a little bit more extroverted than maybe growing up introverted some, and just to grow a lot. But yeah, I didn't know anybody really going into it.
Yeah, well, you had Kenzie, which was pretty awesome. And so, at what point did you guys start to become serious together?
So COVID happened while we were in college,
Yeah,
which makes everything complicated. So right before we got sent home for COVID, we were kind of we started like training together and kind of
mm,
doing some things on our own because it didn't look like we were going to have a season. We didn't really know what was going to happen. So we ended up getting sent back home, and we both lived in Ohio. So we were
yeah,
20 minutes from each other. And that's kind of where I was dating someone previously. So we had broken up. And then when we went home for COVID time, we ended up being the only people at home. There was nothing really to do. Let's just go train. So my brother also plays soccer, so the three of us would go and we would train. We started talking more seriously. We'd always been friends, so it was easy to kind of just transition to the next step together. So we started dating our summer before our junior year, sophomore summer. Is that right,
Before
Zach?
sophomore year.
Before sophomore year? Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have the year wrong.
who has the
No big
story
deal.
straight?
It was COVID, is what. Then
Yeah,
so we got back to school and then we were dating. So
yeah, Zach. It sounds like you're the bearer of the memory here. Is that how you remember it?
seriously,
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, going into sophomore year, I was patient. I was a friend that was trying to not be in the friend zone for a little bit of time, and eventually it worked out in my favor.
There you go.
yeah.
You made the right move. That's what
I
it sounds
know.
like. And so, and that's crazy because, you played high school soccer together, you went to school together, and then COVID happens. And honestly, like, this sounds like one of the better scenarios that you could have is you get sent
hmm
home and you have someone that you can train with, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So did you get any of that season in?
No, that was in 2020. So that season got canceled, which was our sophomore year. So it was a lot of training. Not that it went to waste, but there was not a fall season, and it looked really different because of that.
It was almost pretty clear who wanted to be disciplined and who didn't during that time because it's not like you had a game to train for. Like, you had the next year. So it was like, are we gonna care about working out to actually grow, or do you just wait until the next season? So we both had similar mindsets that we still have now of we love training, we love working hard, and we love getting better. And so it was fun to see that even then that we were like that. And now that we don't have soccer to train for, we still love training.
And it's so important to have somebody to do that with. I think you can have a lot of self motivation and self like internal motivation. I think that's huge, but to be able to do it with somebody, that makes so much of a world of a difference, and you can push yourself so much harder, and put so much more time into it when you do it with somebody, because it's kind of a back and forth relationship of encouragement, and pushing each other to be better, which I think is super important.
Yeah. Did you feel that when you got back that you were better off than some of the others on the team?
I would say the culture for the most part was built on people who cared about growing rather than just letting the next season happen. So we kind of built each other up in that way. But I would say because of that summer and Zach and I training together, I think that that definitely helped.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would say between that and also like our group chats would be lively, and you'd have we kind of did it by class. Like our class would be in constant communication, talking with each other and encouraging each other, sending in times of fitness tests that we had to do and stuff like that. So it was kind of a continual accountability partnership, either with Kenzie and I or with the guys and myself.
Yeah, that's super awesome. It sounds like again, a very awesome culture, even when you guys got sent home and you had to deal with COVID. So you guys probably it sounds like, you mentioned all the national championships. It sounds like it is a culture of winning, which is super awesome. So towards the end of it, Kenzie, I'll pass it off to you. You had mentioned that you were dealing with an injury. Did that happen during your season or did that happen post college?
That was the spring of my senior year. So I just finished my fall season and it was right after that.
And do you wanna talk about that at all,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, so, I have really never dealt with any type of injury during my collegiate career or before that was serious, so I'm so thankful it happened after college, not that it made it easier, but I'm thankful to have had my seasons, and so we actually were on a mission trip to Colombia, so we weren't in America, and I was playing soccer, and the first day of 10 tore my ACL that day, and it just popped and was done, and so that was a new thing for me, like, I loved training even though we were done playing soccer, I knew I wanted to run marathons, do more things like that, and so to have this and we also were engaged and gonna get married in a couple months, so there were just a lot of pieces that kinda run through your head when you're laying on the ground, and specifically, that process was super hard for me. I had my initial surgery and it went fine, but I had a bunch of scar tissue buildup that required
mm,
2 additional surgeries the following year. It just took more time. I would say a year and a half-ish before I was able to run, and do the things that I love doing, the way that I loved it. I could lift a little, but it wasn't the same as pushing myself to the next level.
yeah. And Zach, what would you say your, end of career was like for you when it comes to playing on the team?
Um, Ended it with a really, really solid team that probably could have done something really special far in a postseason tournament, but got knocked out a little bit earlier. And sometimes that's just how soccer is. And it was hard for that reason. I think you obviously when you have something good going, you want it to continue going, but ended the season I think in the second round of the NCAA tournament, and then going into that spring season. Um, Numbers were a little bit low for the guys that were returning for the next year. So I was able to help out a little bit. It was kind of a nice transition out of playing soccer. But I think after playing soccer my entire life, you kind of get caught up in the grind a lot. And from the love that I had originally for it, I think it might have started to dwindle a little bit from just the grind piece of it, which I think you got to have a good balance of that over time, and not outworking yourself, but also working yourself really hard to obviously meet some big goals. So I would say it was a good transition out, and I think having an experience of putting in a lot of work and grinding for something that is important made me realize I wanted to keep doing that outside of a college career into the rest of my life, either with marathons or triathlons. And that's kind of what got us into Hyrox, because we were just looking for something next to train for.
Yeah, and it sounds like you went right into High Rocks, is that right? Did you guys take a break from college? You mentioned you're getting married. Like, what did that look like? How long did it take you to get in your first training for High Rocks?
We got married and then we moved to Dallas. We didn't know anybody, and I was still recovering from my ACL, and so I think it was a full year of just kind of like
Hmm.
training to train, just kind of like, oh, we'll go to the gym a few times, like
Yeah.
a week. And we still enjoyed it and we still would do things, but it wasn't for a specific purpose. So then when my knee finally was better and I felt like I could run without pain, it was like, okay, we found this thing called Hyrox. Let's just try it out. Let's just do it together. So
Yeah.
it was a year after college that we decided to kind of like, okay, what's this Hyrox thing? And there was one in Dallas, so we just went for it. And our first race, we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did fine, but we weren't sure like what should we even aim for? What's a goal? And then we
Yeah.
got hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a year to a year and a half, and a year to a year and a half of like being used to training our whole lives for something with a purpose towards the end goal in mind, which is like obviously get better, get in the starting lineup, be able to contribute on the field, to win games, to win tournaments, stuff like that. And then to go from that to about a year and a half of like going to the gym to not maybe for aesthetics, but like to get stronger and for
Yeah.
what reason. And then we found something that we could put that towards. And so I think we had no idea what we were doing with Hyrox. And I don't really think some of these races you don't know what you don't know until you actually go experience it.
Yeah.
But we got into it and we have loved it ever since.
Yeah. So was the first one a double for you both, or did you guys do solos before it?
Yeah, we've done one pro solo race separately. That was our last race that we've done, but we did
Okay.
mix doubles for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying it out, trying to get our time as good as we could, until we did qualify for the World Championships. So then we were like, "Okay, let's see what we can do solo now." But we did, yeah, quite a few races, just mixed doubles.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. It seems like, you guys are your Kenzie, your fitness journey is Zach's fitness journey, and Zach, your fitness journey and Kenzie's fitness journey. And it's awesome to see, you two push each other to the limits. Especially now that you're out of college. And typically, the people that I talk to, they are, you know, off on their own by themselves. They don't really have a partner to work with them fitness wise. And so, you lose that mentality of team once you leave college, but you two essentially have had yourselves for the whole time. What was the difference in that team mentality versus, you two working together?
It is kind of similar, like, we take the things that we learned being on a team, and we can apply it to us together now, like, we wake up in the morning, one of us usually doesn't feel like doing a track workout, but in college, like, your teammates would just be like, "Well, you're doing it, we have a
Yeah.
game." So we
Yeah.
look at each other and say, "You're doing it because 'cause I'm doing it." So
Yeah.
it's nice to have that built-in accountability. I feel like that's something that we take, like, the hard work and the discipline. It's nice that we've been able to do that in the past. I think that that's just set up a foundation for us now, and it feels like mixed doubles feels like a team sport almost, and so
Mm,
we kind of are able to take that, like, you need both of your strengths to be able to do this. We both have weaknesses that we can work on within this. Like, you win as a team, you lose as a team. All those things make mixed doubles fun. And we're venturing into pro solos, and Zach might do a triathlon next. And we'll do separate things, but for this specific season, it's been so fun to get to do it together as a team.
Yeah, and I'll add too, like with Hyrox doubles, whether it's mixed, whether it's men's or women's doubles, it's you're only as strong as your slowest runner, or you're only as strong as your weaker runner, whatever you want to view it as. So you really have to be in it together, and you really have to have discipline together and accountability together, because one person can make an entire difference. Somebody can be really strong and really fast, and if you don't have that for the both of you, it makes it a lot difficult, and you might not get to where you want to go. So it definitely is a team mentality and team aspect, and very similar. It's just the two of us, but it's very similar, I would say, to what we've experienced our whole lives.
yeah. And so you said you've done 4 mixed doubles, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think four mixed doubles. Yeah, four mixed doubles. I've done a men's doubles with her dad, and then she did a women's doubles with her mom, and then we did a pro solo individually.
Yeah. So how would you compare that first one and the latest one that you've done to each other? Similar to running, half marathons, marathons. I have not done a high rocks, but I know what I experienced my first marathon, and I know what I experienced my latest marathon, and it is
Mhm.
completely different. How would you say that felt for you both doing your first doubles, and then the fourth one?
Well, first one, like we said, we were really unsure what we were gonna do. We didn't know what a good time was. We knew the exercises, but we did not know how important running was, I would say.
Hmm.
That's our biggest difference between then and now, like, putting up mileage for a week, we didn't really understand, like, you just run fast a few times. So, now we've learned, like, especially mixed doubles and doubles races, running is super important because you do get to rest for a little bit while the other person is doing part of the exercise, but you're both running together. So, we've learned to increase our mileage. We know now what zone 2 training is. We know speed workouts, threshold intervals, that kind of thing. We have gotten a lot faster just doing specific types of training and understanding the importance of zone 2 and all of those things. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah. Like I was saying, like you really don't know what you don't know, especially when it comes to Hyrox the first time you do it. Like if you're a really good runner, I think you'll find a lot of success. It's really a running race with obstacles in the middle. But like our first time that we did got like an hour and 11 minutes. And then the next race we did a lot of research, learned a lot, figured out how to increase our mileage smartly, how to do heart rate training, do threshold work, zone 2, low aerobic and endurance work that saved about 6 minutes off for that next one. Then we did it again and shaved another 6 minutes off. And I mean, we had no idea that that's something that we could do, but it's just you learn more, and we got smarter with how we trained, started training harder, and realized that we could train harder. But yeah, it's kind of it's a fun sport because there's so much that goes into it. It's way more than like think of a triathlon. There's three things with Hyrox. There's running, and then there's all these other types of exercises. Power's involved, legs are involved. There's cardio stations, compromised running. So there's a lot to strategize about and how you're going to shave time off here, how we can get time down. So it's a lot of fun to strategize outside of just the workout part of it as well.
Yeah, and you talk a little. You mentioned strategy, and so something that I've seen on social media, I've seen this every once in a while of like the male partner doing like a full on whole section, like doing all the wall throws, the wall balls. Is that what is y'all's strategy on high rocks throughout the whole competition? If you want to disclose that, I know you
Yeah.
guys
Oh,
are
yeah.
trying to be the champions, but what's your strategy when it comes to high rocks?
Well, it is such a balance because Zach is obviously better at it than me. Like, he's
Hmm.
stronger and he's faster. But I think it's no fun if the guy does all of it. Just do a pro solo then.
Yeah.
So to me, we probably go 60-40, sometimes
Yeah.
70-30, depending
Yeah.
on the different exercises and our different strengths. So for like the ski and the row, we try to split that pretty equally, but
Hmm.
he can do way better at that. So
Yeah.
that would be something that he can do. Burpees, I'm fine with. I have decent
Yeah.
endurance to be able to do that. So I can start those and give him a little bit of a break. So I think how you split it up, like whoever's the better runner, they
Mm.
should start and end the exercise. So the person in the gets the middle chunk can have a rest at the beginning and the end. So there's small
Okay. Yeah.
strategies like that, depending on where are you usually most tired? Okay, I'll take the
Mm.
front and the end of that station so you can have a little more rest. So we kind of and then we adjust on the fly. Like, you can have a great plan, and then all of a sudden you
Yeah.
get to one station and the sled's not moving, and you're like,
Yeah.
"You go, you go."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Switch it
it
up.
also has to be you have to be able to adjust on the fly, like a game. So it really
Yeah.
applies in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I'll add too. Like I've heard it put before of like racing each other on the runs and then working
Mm.
together on the exercises because
Okay.
Mhm.
the runs are super important. That's where you can shave off the majority of your time, and training yourself to run really hard on tired and compromised legs that are dead from pushing a sled. But I would say when it comes to the exercises, yeah, I would say either 60-40 or 70-30, depending on what we're doing. Some of the things like the sled push and the sled pull, that weight is at a woman's pro weight. So it's
Mm.
obviously going to be way heavier for what Kenzie's trying to do. And that's going to be lower than the weight that I would do on men's pro. So
Right.
that's something that I can take more of the work behind and then have her lead on the run from there and try to catch up to her. So it's
Yeah.
just it kind of goes back and forth just to kind of figure out and strategize based on what the exercise is, what the workout is.
Yeah. I'm taking notes. I'm trying to take notes as we go. I'll keep this one as a favorite on my episodes so I can come back and look at the
Nice.
strategy.
We don't know
Yeah.
everything. We just learned a few
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing really well enough to convince Kenzie, your parents, to do Hyrox with you. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so my parents have always loved working out my whole life. Like that's kind of their date night is every night they go work out together and they've done all sorts of things. My dad's done a 70.3 Ironman in the past. My mom's run a couple marathons. So they do have an athletic background, but Hyrox was really intimidating to them. So they're
Mm.
55 and 56 and we've just been into it and they were like, "Well, I feel like we could give it a go." So um I did it with my mom so that she didn't have to do a mixed doubles weight with my
Yeah.
dad, and it worked great. Like, she crushed it. She just wanted to get under, I think, an hour and 30, and we did, like, an
Yeah.
hour and 11 minutes. So she
That's
did
awesome.
fantastic, and I could take a majority of the exercises if she didn't feel as confident in them, but
Hmm.
that was so fun, and then for Zach to do it with my dad, he can speak to that, but, it was just fun to have my family try something that we've been so into the past couple years.
Yeah, the one with her dad, that was a lot of fun. He crushed it too. I mean, we both went out. They went out with an idea of what they could get. I think we might have done the same thing just to have a goal in mind. But no, it was a lot of fun to like you get to do that. We've done four together strategizing, so it was fun to get to strategize with him, figure out how we're gonna do it. We're kind of yelling at each other during the race to figure out are we changing things on the fly or do we remember what we said? So it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun and splitting things up and working hard together and doing hard things. It's always fun. It's a good shared experience. It kind of brings you and bonds you closer together. So it was a great experience.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other family members that you're gonna try and convince to do a high rocks with?
Your
My
sister already
sister is
just did
actually,
one.
yeah, she just did one. She actually got featured by Hyrox. Her and her friend did one in Houston, and she's gonna do one, I think in DC with her boyfriend. My dad's been saying that he wants to do one,
Yeah.
um, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, it's a fun thing. I mean, anybody can do it. That's what's so cool about the sport. Like you've got these elite 15 athletes that are just absolutely going crazy on this course and putting up blistering times, and then you've got people that have had insane transformations with their life journey, and they're doing a high rocks and they're doing it in a couple hours. But it's like, man, there's so many people out there that aren't doing it, and so it's just such a wide range of people, and it's so cool of the community to see so many different types of people that are able to do it.
Yeah, I've watched the High Rocks. I haven't done one, but exactly that. It's an amazing event. You see, the fittest to the not fittest to the in
Yeah,
between, and it's super cool. I think DC is coming up in the fall, and it's like a 3 or 4 day event or something like that.
yeah.
Which is super cool to see High Rocks grow to what it is now. It's a super cool event that people are picking up because you can do it, and it's for everybody.
Mhm.
I just got my, pro solo ticket for Hyrox DC, so I'll be
Oh,
there.
nice, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully I live my life day by day. So if I get to see it, I'll look out for you guys.
Great.
Perfect. That sounds awesome.
And so, we've talked a lot about the actual competition, but um, I want to talk a little bit about the training aspect of it. And so, I've talked to a lot of runners who've run half marathons, who have training plans. So, first question is, what does a training plan look like for High Rocks? Is it 12 weeks, 10 weeks, 8 weeks? What does that look like for someone who does High Rocks?
I would say it's the long answer is it really depends. It depends on what your goal is, depends on where you're starting. I think for the typical runner, if you have a really big aerobic base that you've built over years and years and years, you have a great starting spot of where you can build off of because it is really running focused. So like if you're training for marathons, if you're training for half marathons, if you're just doing anything that's kind of like low aerobic endurance, I think that's a really helpful starting spot. I think you see a lot of these professional athletes that do high rocks, they have that type of a background, which just puts them at a different advantage and another level, just starting at that spot, just having so many miles and miles and miles on their body over the years. I don't know necessarily if it's a certain amount of weeks. I think for us, when we try to do like building of a block for a training block, might be like 8 to 12 weeks, I would say. And we kind of keep that running endurance space all the time. And I think we'll probably do around 25 to 30 miles every week throughout that block. And then we have different days of we'll do leg strength training days of specifically focusing on Hyrox movements. So like do a lot of sled work, a lot of sled push, a lot of sled pull, sandbag lunges, wall balls, being able to get used to doing those workouts fatigued. Um, Also doing some threshold running, some speed work in there, some compromise running, and even doing some kind of Hyrox sim workouts where you're kind of going back and forth between a exercise or workout straight to a run without any rest to kind of train your legs to flush out the lactic acid that builds up really quickly. But there's a lot of coaches out there that do have plans and do personalized one-on-one coaching. That's something that as we're learning more and more about, we're like, maybe we should look and see if that's something that we could do. The way we've done it is kind of within the 8 or 12 week block that I mentioned. We've done a lot of just research on our own from these athletes that are a little bit more open with their workouts and share them online, either through Strava or social media. And so we'll pull different ideas from different types of people and kind of try to replicate a little bit of what people do just because we don't know what we don't know and we're still trying to learn. Some of these people have been doing it for a long time. I mean, I think Hyrox has been around since 2017. So I think it's coming up on 10 years. But yeah, I think it's between that and like we've got a board, we'll write our workouts out throughout the week. So we'll plan it ahead of time. But week to week, it kind of looks similar, but I think volume increases, weight increases over time, and then you also want to make sure you taper well too before the race. I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, the only thing I was gonna say is we're just starting to add a couple, like, even threshold. We didn't know as much about threshold, so this training block, we're understanding the significance of it and starting to do that a little bit more, especially because it fits with Hyrox specific things. Compromised running, that's hardest for me, so the more I can do that without killing my legs by doing it too many times a week, but trying to figure out that balance has been great, but he answered all of it. That's what we do.
25 to 35 miles a week with strength training, that's like, it seems like a very good spot to be in, because when you're training for a marathon, you're doing anywhere from 25 to 40 to 50 to 60 at the elite level. Um, you know, it sounds like you guys have found a good spot. And again, like Hyrox has been around for almost 10 years, but it's still relatively young. And so there's probably not as much out there that you can feed off of. There's training plans for marathons, half marathons everywhere for free to pay coaches everywhere. But Hyrox is still about 10 years old. And so it's interesting to see how that develops and how coaching develops in that world. And so, as you guys look for coaches, I think it'll be interesting, what coaches have to offer, when it comes to High Rocks.
And I think the fun part too is there's people out there you see on social media and they do it full time. We have full 9 to 5 jobs in person, so that's another fun challenge for us, and it's fun to figure out the balance. Like we want to be as best as we can and work as hard as we can. Obviously, there's time constraints and limits to that, so it's fun to kind of move the puzzle pieces around to figure out how we fit in these amount of miles or these amount of strength workouts or these amount of compromise type of workouts. So it's a fun little challenge to be able to do with a full time job and compete. So it's good.
Yeah. Do you guys get the opportunity to work out together a lot, or is it, one person will get off work and then go work out, or will you guys wait around for each other?
We have a great schedule right now where we work out is right next to where Zach works, and I finish work a little bit early, so by the time I get to him, he's done with work. There's times where sometimes one of us will have to do something. I'll have to work out in the morning, and he can go for a lunch run or something like that, but for the most
Mhm.
part, we're usually pretty in sync with our workout times. We don't have any kids right now in our life, so that also gives us the flexibility to be able to do things like that together, which is fun.
Yeah, kids throw, everything in for a loop. It's also fun to put that piece of the puzzle in there. But it sounds like you're working on a really good schedule together, and you get the opportunity to work out and do high rocks. And so, you've talked a lot about high rocks. I want to talk a little bit about some of the other things that you guys are interested in. We've mentioned marathons, half marathons, triathlons. What's that stemming? What's causing that interest in other aspects?
Well, for one, we trained for a half marathon. That was kind of a training block we did a few weeks ago, and then we got to the half marathon and it got canceled due to weather, so we ran a 10K instead.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I saw that story.
Really unfortunate because we had
Yeah,
trained. We were really ready to put up a good time.
yeah.
We didn't have time to sign up for another one. We needed to get right into this training block for the World Championships. So at some point, we need some redemption on that.
Yeah,
That feels
yeah,
like
of course.
something that translates well to Hyrox. You can kinda train for both at the same time with the mileage. I
Mhm,
just think that a marathon would be a fun challenge just to be able to specifically get your time down. Like, I think that doing the half marathon kinda scratched a little bit of the itch, but it'd be fun to
mhm.
try a whole marathon too. So that's kind of but right now, Hyrox, I just love what we're doing. So I love this right now, but in the future, that's definitely something I wanna try. Zach has his own thoughts too.
Yeah, I would say I love Hyrox and I've loved what we've been doing with it, and I think I'll continue to do it. It's been something that's been it's just a lot of fun. I love the challenge of all of these different things. Um, Training for a high rocks race, training for a half marathon that actually didn't happen. But eventually, like I want to same thing. I want to train for marathons. I'd love to do a half Ironman, a full Ironman. I think just the idea of the challenge behind it, and just trying as much as I can try, like to be able to not just say that I did it, but to just experience it and see what all goes into that. And there's just so much to learn, and there's so much to experience, and even getting to do it with somebody too, whether it's High Rocks or whether it's an Ironman, getting to train with somebody. I think there's so much benefit and so much value, and just using our bodies in a way that they've been designed to do, to ultimately glorify God with. I think is something that really makes me want to do all that I can with it. So yeah, I think there's just so much out there that gets me excited to not just accomplish, but to go try, and see how well I can do it.
Yeah, I don't know how many times that I've probably said this on the show, but it's the continuation of learning and not when I don't talk about like educational, but about ourselves and just
Hmm.
learning what we can do. As we've left the world of competing against other athletes in college, and now we're competing against really ourselves. High rocks and marathons and half marathons. You're competing against others, but you're not looking
Yeah.
someone straight in the face and saying like, I'm going to beat you." You're
Yeah.
you're more looking inside yourself and trying to do the best that you can to better yourself, which is a great part of this post athletic college athlete life, which I really love.
Yeah, no, that is so true. It is so much about, like, this is what I'm able to do. How can I push myself harder to overcome what I've just accomplished? Can I get my time down faster? What goes into that? How can I be more strategic about that? Can I have people around me that surround me? Do I train with people? Do those people encourage me? There's just so many aspects to that of, sure, you might be competing with people, and we see similar people at these high rocks races that we've raced against multiple times. And like, yeah, we go out there and we want to beat them and we want to stand on a podium that's higher than them. Sure, for at the end of the day, that's fun, but it's also like we're going in there knowing, okay, we've worked harder on this because our sled pull wasn't that great, and we want to improve this, and measuring it up to things that are controllable, the things you can't control versus there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to come and it's going to be faster. And for you to measure yourself up to that versus what you can physically do, yeah, there's good competition with that, but I think that'll kind of just eat away at you with comparison. So that's something that I feel like we've kind of been seeing post college, because there's teams that you play against and you might meet them every postseason, or you might meet them in the conference championship, and it's like, we're obviously lined up to play the best game that we can, and every game's a big game. But it's a little bit different in that regard compared to now. Might go run a marathon. I'm not going to run against the same person in this marathon versus that marathon. So it's way more about competing against yourself, and how, and kind of, yeah, how much better can you make yourself?
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I took something that you said that you have raced against some other people. Is it common for you to see people at multiple different high roxes?
Yes. At this point, we've seen a few. I mean,
Yeah.
there's always new people, but
Yeah.
they kind of rank you, or they have your start time based off of people who have similar times to
Mm,
you.
yeah.
So people who have similar times to us are people who are willing to travel usually, because
Yeah.
they wanna get to that next level. So
Yeah.
there's been some overlap, and that's been so fun just because not all of our friends understand
Yeah.
Hyrox or the appeal and all of those things. So
Yeah.
it's fun to run into these people who also love pushing themselves and don't think it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, because when you compare it to running, there's tons of run clubs out there. Is there that same world for High Rocks, or is it more you just see each other at these events and you're becoming friends at the actual events?
I think there's starting to be more trainings.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We haven't gotten invested into any specific classes or things, but I definitely seen them start to pop up more.
Yeah, and they've done a really good job of like you can go on the Hyrox website and look up partner gyms.
Yeah.
So there's Hyrox affiliate gyms that you can get
Hmm.
plugged into, and you can meet a lot of really cool people. I think they're popping up more and more. The gym we go to is it's a really nice gym. It's also built out of convenience too, and it's
Yeah.
not a Hyrox affiliate gym. I think that's something that
Hmm.
they're working towards. So I think as it grows, it's going to continue to add more and more gyms, and the community is going to get bigger and bigger. So obviously we see the same people at different races, but I think it'll become more and more accessible to meet a community of people that are doing it no matter where you live.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I think, hopefully by that time I've done one or two High Roxes, but I'm excited to see where that High Rocks world comes, especially when it comes to building a community. Cause, it seems like a really awesome event just based on only solely watching the event. There's so much energy. There's so many stories. I'm excited to see where High Rocks goes here in the next another 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
hope
am as
to.
well.
And so, we've talked a lot about your experiences. I'll let both of you answer this. What type of advice would you give to somebody who is, who's played their college time and is transitioning to a new life of possibly a 9 to 5 and throwing fitness in there? What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say to start, comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're always looking at somebody else and their workouts or what they're doing or their more glamorous 9 to 5, you're going to put yourself in a rough spot. So know that it is a transition and talk to other college athletes who are going through it too, because you're not alone, even though you might feel like it in the moment. But also, like, find a hobby you love. If it's fitness, then find a community of people who love fitness. If it's something else, find a community of people who love that because it kind of reminds you of a team and that's what you're used to. So if you can find a team outside of college, join a gym that has training in a way that you want, join a run club, join other people who are doing that, and then you can chase a goal together. And if you're more like performance and goal driven, then set yourself a new goal. Like it's helpful to have something to work towards. I think that that helps when you're used to a game and a goal and always something to strive for. It's okay if you don't want that anymore, but if you do, there's plenty of ways to find that and discipline to get that done post college.
Yeah, and that was really well said. I don't think I could add much to that. I would say, yeah, community. I mean, when you're on a team, that's what you're used to. You're used to that community all together and striving for one goal, kind of all headed in the same direction. It's a little bit different when you get outside of college and outside of collegiate sports, but it's something that you can find and it's something that you can kind of replicate. Maybe not as exact, but it's different, whether it's with run clubs or gyms that you could be a part of where there's a group of people that are doing similar things. Granted, everybody might be pursuing their own goal, but you can pursue your own goals together, which is a lot of fun,
Mm.
and you can learn a lot from each other. So just always being curious, always being in a room with people that are smarter than you, and always being willing to learn from people that are pursuing goals that are different than you or the same ones. And yeah, not comparing yourself to them because, like we talked about earlier, you're competing against yourself, and that's what you can't control. You can't control other people, so don't compare yourself at all. It'll steal your joy because a lot of these are individual pursuits that you're pursuing. Yes, you might be doing it together as a Hyrox doubles. Obviously, you can still compare yourself to other doubles, but like Hyrox, like a single or a triathlon or a marathon, like you're doing that on your own. You might have people that are kind of encouraging you through it and keeping you accountable, and that's where the team aspect comes into it as well. But there's a bit of a maybe if you're especially if you're not kind of doing it with somebody like the way we get to do it, it definitely can. I've seen it be like a lonely type of pursuit as well. So finding a good community to surround yourself with is really, really important.
Yeah, those are two awesome pieces of advice. I think, when you want to better yourself post college, there's so much that you have to think about, and I think that that will be helpful for anybody that decides to listen in on this, because it's a tough journey. Some people take a year, some people take 5 years, but as long as we get to that point, it's awesome to see what happens when we start putting in that work. And so, we've talked a lot about current races, what you've done in the past. I don't think we've nailed down what you guys are doing next. What does that look like for you guys?
So for us, we're doing mixed doubles in the World Championship in June. So that's kind of our next thing. We're in a training block for that right now. And then right now for me, I signed up for a pro solo in Washington D.C. So we'll do that one separately because Zach might be doing something different. If you want to talk
Yeah.
about it, but
I might,
that's for me next.
yeah. Mixed doubles in Sweden at the World Championships is the next thing that we're training for right now. Um, and I'm kind of tossing the idea around of maybe doing just jumping into a full Ironman at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
Why not?
we'll
Yeah,
see
why
where that
not?
goes. Yeah,
You'll learn
that's something
something.
that I definitely know I want to do
Yeah.
eventually. If it's not now, that's fine. If it's another time, great. But I think obviously if I decide to do that and I put that down, like that's something I'll work extremely hard towards. So there's that might be the next thing that I'm looking at.
Yeah. And so, World Championship is on your radar. That's awesome that it's in Sweden. I didn't know it was in Sweden. But, I see the flag in the background. Can you
Oh
talk
yeah.
a little bit about how someone qualifies for the World Championships?
Yeah, so the way that they do it, it's based on events. Every course that they make is a little bit different. It might be it's a kilometer between each workout. The first lap might be shorter on some courses than others. The rock zone, which is the distance from getting from the run to the workout, might be bigger on some courses than others. So it's hard to kind of say, hey, you went and raced in Los Angeles and then you raced in Miami, and it's hard to compare those two. Even certain things of like, there might be a sled in certain races that they've got more friction to them and they're harder to push than in a different race. So they don't do it based on just time cut and dry, but you qualify based on the people you're racing against in that event. So when we qualified for Worlds, it was in Boston last fall. We raced against a lot of really good athletes, and we were able to come in first, which was really fun. And basically, they have kind of a drop down of slots for world slots. So age group 16 to 24 might be awarded one world slot. Age 25 to 29 has maybe two world slots. So the first two people that come first and second in that age group get to go to worlds. 30 to 35, 35 to 39, so on and so forth. So it's based on age group and how you rank on that specific race, and depending on how many world slots that they award to that race.
Yeah, that's super cool. And again, social media has a lot to say about Hyrox. And I think I saw one clip of a guy pushing a sled in one lane that moved like super fast, and then pushing another sled on another lane that moved like super slow. So it's crazy. It's crazy to see how they figure that out of a specific race and the specific times in that race compared to a specific race in a different location.
Yeah, I think they're starting to learn a lot and figure a lot out and make sure equipment is up to date and is not old, so it's not moving well. And the
Mm,
carpet's been a big issue over the past years, and making sure it's kind of standard across the board, no matter which race and which location you go to, just so the quality is good no matter where it is. But yeah, I think they're slowly making adjustments with equipment, with machines, all that type of stuff, just to make it as best as they can. But yeah, there's been a lot of clips out there of either people really mad from an experience
yeah.
that they had, or yeah, so
Yeah.
it's been interesting. Thankfully, we haven't had a crazy sled experience like some people have on certain
But
races.
we try to control the controllables and just add more
Yeah.
weight when we're training on that sled,
Yeah,
just in
There you
case,
go.
so we're
yeah,
ready to push it heavy.
There you go. And again, a great mentality to have, something that it sounds like you guys have been developing for a long time. And it shows with, your ability to qualify for for world championships.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, this has been, such a great conversation. You both are on social media, which is where I saw you guys for the first time competing. Where can the people find you on social media?
My Instagram is kvenusfit, and then I also have a TikTok, Kenzie Venus.
Yeah, and mine is Zack Venus Fit. Kenzie's a little bit more active than I am, but yeah, you can find me at Zack Venus Fit.
Yeah, I'll look at hers to see how well you're doing.
Yeah,
I'm more
that's a
consistent
good
on that one.
that's a good route to go.
You might pick it back up, but yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Awesome. Well, Kenzie, Zack, this has been awesome. Thanks again for coming on the Retired Athlete Mentality podcast, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.